I'm Roland. I'm the director of CaminoWays. I started the business in 2011, and we've been up, 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 and then we've been down last year, and we are coming back up again. And it's nice to be busy again, busy with nice things, organizing tours on the Camino. It's also really nice to be talking to our clients. It's nice to be talking to our hotels, to the taxi, to the guides, to everybody. Life is coming back, and we're so happy. So we are a tour operator. We organize walking and cycling tours on the Camino de Santiago, mostly in Spain, France, Portugal, and a little bit in Italy. It's not called the Camino over there. It's called the Via Francigena. We've been doing the Via Francigena since 2014, so we are the pioneers of the Francigena, and we are also probably the best known company for the Camino de Santiago. So we organize mostly self-guided tour. That means you go with your partner, your friends, your family, wherever you want without a guide. We give you a guidebook and maps and you just follow the yellow arrow. But we have also a few tours where you are in a group with a guide and it's quite fun and entertaining, and the guide is very knowledgeable, and we have very good reviews on those tours too. We only book nice hotel with a bathroom en suite, no hostel, no bunk bed, only nice places. We transfer your bag every day, so you just carry the very strict minimum on your bag. We offer also 24/7 support if there is any problem with your hotel or luggage transfer. And you can send us a WhatsApp message. You don't even have to call us, and we fix it for you. And we sometimes organize for big group and sometimes for just one person only. So flexibility. What's the Camino? But just briefly, I'm sure you all know the Camino. The Camino is the trail that goes to Santiago de Compostela on the northwest of Spain. It's many networks of places linked together, and the pilgrims start from their footstep wherever they come from, whether they're Spanish, French, or they were German or Italian at the time, and they walk from their own house. So there's probably about 16 trails recognized uh, today, but there's many more trails. So the most popular and famous is called the Camino Frances. You may have heard about it. There's also a few others called Finisterre. It's the only one that goes away from Santiago. There's a one on the north that follow the coast on the north, one coming from Portugal that's called the Portuguese Coastal, and it's very, very famous. So people go to Santiago because they go on a pilgrimage to the tomb of the brother of Jesus, Saint James. He's been beheaded by the Romans, and he's brought to Galicia. He's buried, and in the ninth century, his remains are rediscovered. They build a big church, and pilgrims from all over Europe start to flock over there. And the tradition has kept on until now, with a big peak in the Middle Ages, and more recently as well, people coming from all over the world, America, Australia, but also Korea, Japan, and the most also closer countries such as a lot of Spanish, Italian, and French. So that's pretty much it. So I'm going to go on to 3 slides for you with the basic questions, what you need to know, and what you're most concerned of. And I will, after the slide, stop the slide and see if there is any questions, and I'll try to answer them. This presentation should not be too long, really, in fairness. We should be done in about 15 minutes. So if you are still here with me, then I'll stick with you and we'll go through a few questions. First slide concerns safety. In time of COVID, we are all worried about it for several reasons. Will I get infected? Obviously, that's number one. I don't want to have any problem. And the second question is, will I be able to travel there? Will I be stuck or whatever? So, first question, COVID. You cannot come to Spain if you're not vaccinated. That's your number one thing. So don't try to board a plane. You won't be allowed to board a plane to go to Spain. And so you need to get your vaccine, and you need 14 days after the vaccine to get into Spain, France, Portugal, any EU of our nice EU countries. Get your vaccine. Will you get it there? Well, 55% of the Spanish population receive a vaccine, and generally the younger people are being infected at the moment. The hospital remain there's not very much people at the hospital, so it's relatively safe to go. Um, in terms of people getting it, it's not really in the hotel, it's not in the restaurant, it's not in the terrace, it's not in the bar. All the precautions are taken. So it's kind of difficult to get the COVID if you don't get into a full-blown indoor party. Honestly, walking the Camino is a good way to be in the nature, and most of the people eat on terrace outside, or I mean, there is about enough space between the table, and all the hotel disinfect part of the hotel, the door handle, and everything that needs to be touched and everything. So in terms of infection, yeah, it's a bit high at the moment. No, people don't go to the hospital anymore. And three, everybody needs to be vaccinated. There's a really important point is that most of the main European country now ask for vaccination to get into the restaurant anyway now. So if you go to France, Italy, I've confirmed that. I think Spain is ongoing, but when you go to the restaurant, you will have to have your vaccine, and therefore it means that other people had the vaccine, and it's quite safe in that aspect. So, well, that's really the point about it. So, yes, there is some advisory, but I would say that if you get the vaccine, you're pretty safe on that. Now, if we move away from COVID, we can speak about safety, about other type of safety. Is it safe to walk the Camino? Well, the Camino is a walk in the countryside, generally between March and November. There's quite a lot of people around, so you're never kind of on your own, isolated. So safe. The Camino's relatively safe. Over the past few years, there was a few instances where there was, I think, one instance where there was a problem, but generally nothing really happened. There's no problem. So as I said, there's enough people to be around, I mean, to be not too far from a village or a place. But I never felt really unsafe. I think I would feel more unsafe to work in the suburb of big cities rather than walk on the Camino. In terms of safety of not aggression, safety, but more like safety of walking with the cars around, and um, there is rumor saying that the Camino goes through motorways or big national roads, and I mean this is not true. The Camino has always safe walking. Either it's a completely different trail, it's not the road, I mean it's a trail, or if it's beside a busy road, there is always a safe distance between the road and a barrier. Now, I've been walking the Camino a few times, and I've also drove the Camino, and I cycle the Camino. And some people are not following the Camino, or I don't know, maybe they miss the arrow and they take the main road and then they walk on the road. But if you follow the yellow arrow, You are always on safe walking, and you're never in a road with busy trucks and cars. And I mean, there is about on the Camino, it's about 50% walking on the road, but they are generally laneway between farms and villages, and like it's totally very tranquil walking on laneways, but it's not like walking on national road. It just does not exist, you know. So safety is not an issue when walking. Um, yeah, can I walk the Camino on my own? Well, actually, there is a large part of the people doing the Camino that do it on their own. There's about 30% of the people walking or cycling that are on their own. They just do the Camino. And the great thing about the Camino is the sense of social community. I mean, every day you meet new people, every day you meet people. There is cafes and bar every, let's say 5 kilometers. Every 1 hour walking, you can stop, have a coffee, have a beer, have a glass of wine, enjoy the scenery, and just literally, chat to people if you're a person that likes to communicate or be on your own. But except, maybe in December, January, February, it's really rare when you meet absolutely everyone. And even in December, January, February, there's always somebody around on the Camino. So walking on your own, I'll say yes, you won't be on your own. Secondly, it'd be fun because you gonna meet people. And thirdly, it's a bit of an adventure. If I tell you you go walking on your own in the Rocky Mountains or in the Alps, you'll be like, yeah, but how do I get to emergency if I need, or how do I get a taxi? And I don't really know. But on the Camino, honestly, you've got a village every maybe 10 or 15 kilometers. You are never far from a road or a place with a mini hamlet or farm or somewhere. I mean, honestly, if you've never done that before, it's a really fantastic adventure for one person. Clear up your mind and really. So that's a I think for the first timer, Camino is great, and for people on their own, I mean that's a really good jumping point for this type of holidays as well. Walking and cycling. Typical question is: should I walk? Should I cycle? What's the best? I mean, walking and cycling is something completely different, right? It's personal, you know. Myself, I love hiking. I love the pace of it. I like, I walk, I listen to my e-books music, or when I want, I chat to other people when I want, and I kind of like the pace of the walking and, visiting as I walk and talking to people as I walk, as I walk. Cycling is a different pace. You do more kilometer per day, so that's fantastic. But at the same time, going uphill on a bike, it's more difficult than going uphill walking. First of all, sometimes it's trails. You've got to push your bike. You got to carry your bike sometime. When you go down on a bike, sometimes it's a bit steep and walking is better. So, I mean, it's a question of, are you also a bit of an experienced cyclist? I mean, cycling is not always that easy, especially that Camino is a mix of dirt track and roads. So, it's not like following a road for like 100 kilometers. You got also some difficulty along the way. So it's personal. And the third aspect is you need to be able to change just a punctured tire. I mean, you need to be able to um, open the tire, remove the chamber, change the chamber, put it back, pump up the tire, and then you have another puncture. You need to do the same again. Okay, so don't think that it's easy. Also, our bikes come in a sort of box, so you need to put the pedal together. I mean, it's not difficult, but a pedal has a right side and a pedal has a left side, right? So most of the problem is that people sometimes put the left and the right and the right and the left. It's not obvious if you've never done cycling, and etc. etc. Okay. Then the second question is, can I walk and my partner cycle? yeah, you could have a group that have a bike and the other group and the other person has walk, but at the same time, you're gonna be always waiting for each other, and then it's not like I walk 5 kilometer and the person cycle at 5 kilometer. No, you walk at 5 kilometer an hour, or you walk at 3 kilometer an hour if it goes up, and your bike it's going between, well, 10, 15, 20 kilometer an hour. So you can't really cycle beside someone that is walking. And the person, I mean, okay, each Camino day is 20 kilometers. Okay. You can easily do a 20 kilometer in 1 hour with a bike. So, you need to think about what is the person doing with only 20 kilometer cycling per day. That's one thing. And the other question is, what sort of bike would you like to use? Now, we offer e-bikes on the French way, the mountain bikes, and also road bikes. So I'm going to exclude the road bikes now because there is some gravels and there's some sort of dirt track. So the road bike is not a good option at all. You will destroy it and you will have few punctures. So now we have two options remaining. It's the mountain bike and the e-bike. Mountain bike is what we sell 90% of the time. You get something hybrid and light with aluminum and good brakes, good gears, and you are absolutely sorted. We don't rent any steel bike because they're too heavy. People don't like it. They can't just they can't carry it, they can't push it. It's a pain in the bum. So honestly, mountain bike is your option, unless you like an e-bike. Now, e-bike is good, but you got to last the day and the week with it. So an e-bike needs a little bit of TLC. There is some connectors on the e-bike. Okay, so you can't really bang an e-bike as you would sort of not take care of a mountain bike as much. Your e-bike has some cable and connections and things like that. There's a control center and everything. So you need to know how to use the control center, and it's not too complicated. You put it at power one, power two, power three, but you still need to take care of it and to make sure it's been well maintained when you receive it during the week. Then secondly, you cannot ride an e-bike as if you would ride a motorbike. You need to push your pedal. Okay, so if you just ride an e-bike the way you would ride a motorbike, then you would lose battery very, very quickly, and you may not even finish the day. So you need to put a little bit of effort on e-bike, and you should not rely totally on the power of electricity. And the third thing is, well, e-bike have a value of about 2,000 euro, so or more. So be careful at not losing it, and you got to really be careful with it. But that's the three options you have: mountain bike, e-bike, and definitely not the road bike. General, and that's my last kind of uh, slide of questions. Uh, what is the best airport to fly into when starting from? Um, in Spain, you have many airports. The Camino is generally from north of Spain, okay, so north, northwest. So you want to find an airport around the north, northwest. Madrid is bang in the middle, and it's probably you're gonna probably transit through Madrid if you come from the States or somewhere else. And then from Madrid, you got plenty of internal flight from Madrid to Santiago, Madrid to Vido, Madrid to San Sebastian. From Madrid, you can go anywhere in about 45 minutes. So if you, for example, go in the region of Santiago, don't take a train that will take 10 hours. In 45 minutes, you can fly from Madrid to close to Santiago, basically to Santiago. Okay. So Madrid is a good starting point, and then you can take an internal flight. Iberia Express is the national carrier. So Iberia is good, Iberia.com, IberiaExpress.com. and there's also Vueling. Vueling, just Google it. It's a little bit difficult to spell. It's mostly around Barcelona, so you can also enter about Barcelona and fly everywhere with Vueling. As it's actually the same company owned Iberia and Vueling, so they often shared flight. Um, and that's pretty much it. You can also, so basically, if you can also, if you come from the UK or Ireland, you can also fly directly to your local to the sort of local airport in Spain. So if you do, for example, the Camino Frances, so it's the most popular, the French way. If you do the last week of the Camino, it's also the most popular week because you actually have 6 nights and you experience the Camino in 1 week and you finish in Santiago. So you can fly to Santiago de Compostela directly, and there is a bus that bring you to Sarria at the beginning of this last 100 kilometers. So in about a week and an hour and a half, you fly to Santiago and you go to Sarria. So that's if you want to do the end of the most popular, the French way. If you're interested by a coastal route, then you could start towards the south of Santiago on the Portuguese way. And if you want to do only 1 week of the Portuguese way, you can fly also in Santiago. Santiago is good for every last 100 kilometers, either from the north, English way, and the Portuguese way, the French way, the Finisterre way, the Plata. All the last 100 kilometers, Santiago is your airport. There's also an airport in Vigo, which is a little bit better for the Portuguese route because it's just in Vigo. So I would definitely recommend Vigo if you can. Now, there's not that many airplanes going there. So if you transit via Madrid, Vigo is good. Direct, maybe from the UK. In Ireland, they lost Vigo's connection 2 years ago. San Sebastian, Bilbao, Biarritz are fantastic for the beginning of the French way and for the Northern way. So the Northern way is a sort of route that follow the coast on the north. So there's 3 airports there that are really handy. Biarritz is in France, and Biarritz is also good for the beginning of the Camino Frances, the French way. It's only 1 hour from the beginning in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. And then if you want the middle of the Northern way or the Portuguese way, the Primitivo, the original way, Oviedo is good. And then I put Lyon at the end as because Lyon they serve the Camino of the Puy. The Puy is the Camino that starts in France, if you want. So Lyon is good. Grenoble is also good, but it's a bit more far away. So roughly, if you Google the name of the town where you're starting and you put airport, you will find the closest airport to your starting point. So you put, for example, Sarria Airport, they will give you Santiago as a start point because it's the closest. So many airports, very easy to go. Santiago does most of it for most of the people doing 1 week to Santiago, and the rest is spread, but there's plenty of local airport. Extra nights here and where and why. The Camino cross the whole country, and roughly you will find a big city every 100 kilometers. I don't know why, but it's the case. If you think about the French way, you start in Saint-Jean, you got Pamplona, Logroño, Burgos, Leon, etc. You have those big cities, and they are true highlight. Great historic center, food, tapas, wine, all of that. So I would say um, uh, when you go to CaminoWays.com and if you try to get a quote, you can customize everything yourself. You will see we added a little label highlight. So the highlight, and you can read the description in there, and you will see the highlight are really the most wonderful place you can stay, great city, great atmosphere. Um, how's the food on the Camino? Well, the Camino de Santiago offers really a variety of food because you have a Camino in France, in Spain, in Portugal. The Camino in Spain is really nice and tasty. It's not it's not a food in sauce, or it's really generally good food and fresh and directly from the producer. You always have, when you go to the restaurant and you eat the pilgrim menu or something like that, you always have a choice for a fish, a meat, and a vegetarian option. They also know and understand the dietary requirements, such as, gluten-free and lactose issues and things. So you just need to tell them, and they would know what to prepare for you. In regards to what to bring, if you want to do the Camino all by yourself without a company like us, you will have to carry everything yourself, and that's okay. But you got to prepare a 50-liter bag, bring a sleeping bag, um, to bring to the use hostel, to the albergue, and enough for maybe a week at a time, so you can wash every week in the albergue, or you can wash not yourself, I mean your clothes. So you need to kind of prepare for maybe a full week or 5 days anyway, a sleeping bag, and you will be able to find food and water everywhere, so you don't have to be worried about it. um, and if you travel with a company like us, then we carry your luggage. A maximum of 20 kilo, we carry from hotel to hotel, so absolutely fine. You just during the day bring a little rain jacket, maybe some water, a little bit of food in case you need to eat something during the trip. But once again, there's cafes and bar along the route. How physically prepare for the Camino? Well, you need to be able to walk. Like if you want to make sure you can do the Camino, you try to walk about 10, 15 kilometers without problem. Do a few walks about 10, 15, and then do one or two 20 kilometers. Um, the first day, if the first day is strangely easy. I think if you've never done this type of holiday, you think that the first day is complicated, but it is not really complicated. It doesn't appear. But the second day, you're generally kind of tired, and the second day feel longer than the first day was. So bizarre enough, the second day is deceptive a bit, but physically, it's maybe the second day that you find the most difficult. And then when you went through the first and second day, I mean, the third day, you are in a sort of rhythm and mood. So